to episode 11 of On the Wild. 11's my favorite number, actually.
Me too.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Julio Jones, my favorite football player.
It's my birthday.
Number 11. He's coming up this Sunday, actually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're going to start this episode off. We haven't talked about it a lot, or at all, really.
At
I don't
all,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, March Madness just ended. Baylor ended up winning,
Yeah.
which really benefited me because I won a bracket challenge, which is funny because I watched 7 minutes of the tournament, and it was the best 7 minutes of the
Yeah.
tournament. I watched the last 2 minutes and overtime of the UCLA and Gonzaga game.
That game was crazy, dude.
It was.
The Suggs buzzer beater was nuts.
Yeah.
And like so hype, even though there wasn't even a crowd. Like the guys were jumping. I mean, he was on top of the table. But that game, like one of the things that kind of annoyed me, and what I noticed throughout the tournament, is guys in overtime or late in games taking over. It's like when it's late in the game, you give the ball to your best player. And on UCLA, Juzang's their best player. He was dominant throughout the entire tournament. Like against Michigan, he shut him down. And late in the game, like overtime, he hadn't touched the ball the first like 3 minutes. It's like, and I noticed it in the first like playing game, it was Michigan State versus UCLA. And to think that they were in a playing game and nearly made the final is crazy.
Right.
But like there was a guy in Michigan State that had like 15 points, and the guy that had the ball the entire last like 3 minutes had like 4 points going into the final minute, and he took every shot. It's like, who do you think you are? You know, like that's like Kuzma taking the ball like last 5 minutes of the game when LeBron and AD are on the court.
What annoyed me in the game that I watched was what's his name, Timmy, yeah.
Yeah.
What they would do is they would just pick and roll with him and get the mismatch on one of the guards on UCLA. I'm like, what are you doing? Just stop switching.
Exactly.
It gets to a point where you have to stop switching because they're just going to take advantage of it the whole time.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Suggs because I saw a picture.
Oh, yeah.
He was like on the scorer's table and he was like doing whatever. And you just see a bunch of cardboard cutouts in the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I feel so bad for this dude, man.
Facts.
Wish it was in front of a real crowd.
I know. Dude, and him and Beckers, is her name Beckers or Bukers on UConn?
Yeah, Bukers.
She's nuts. Like I saw like Sarah Taurasi said that she's like
Taurasi, you mean?
Yeah. She said that she's like the best basketball player she's ever seen. She's not even
Deanna Taurasi is one of the best.
Exactly, yeah.
NBA players.
Like
ever.
she's played against Sue Bird or with Sue Bird. Are they on the same team? There's like
I'm not sure.
There's one Seattle team in the WNBA that's crazy good. But yeah, to say that at 19 years old she's the best player in basketball is crazy.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited to see what she could do.
And there's that the girl that came out last year, Sabrina Inuwansu.
Oh yeah, she went
I don't know how to
first.
say her last name. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
really good.
She's really, really good.
Women's basketball is on the up for
Yeah,
sure, and there are some talented players.
It's a lot more technical or fundamentally sound.
Fundamental, yeah.
Yeah.
Like their shooting is knocked down, and I was watching a couple of the games. Like the Baylor UConn game was such a good game, and the defense, like they're locked down.
Yeah.
But dude, also like I'm a Michigan fan, right? So I was cheering, and they were the one team I didn't pick to go. I was hyped because I had Baylor, Houston, and Gonzaga in the Final Four, so I thought I was winning that bracket, no problem.
Right.
But I had Houston in the final, and they lost to Baylor. But Michigan, man, they I think his name's Robertson. Dickinson. This guy did the same move every single play.
You were talking about like, play basketball. It was like the hook. Or
Yeah, he would just get the ball and turn and do a hook shot every time. It's like the defense read it, and one time he would have a triple team, and he decided to like shoot with his offhand, and he literally just threw it at the net, and it went in. I'm like, this guy is like not intelligent at basketball, but he's just so talented that it works.
Yeah.
Man, that team though, like if Livers was there, I think they could have taken it.
Yeah, I had Baylor and Alabama.
Alabama, ooh.
Yeah, Alabama. When did they lose? Like
Lead
round of
8 to
32?
UCLA, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Dude, I had like Texas going deep. They went out first round.
Yeah, I had Oklahoma State going in, I think, to the Elite 8.
Really?
So like, they have Cade Cunningham.
Oh,
the
yeah.
best player. I'll just.
That's like what I noticed with March Madness. Like it's honestly partly my favorite time of year in sports. Like just the tournament itself is so exciting. You never know who's going to win. I've learned to just not pick the teams that have the star players. Like back when Wiggins and Embiid were on Kansas.
Embiid was like hurt.
Yeah,
all the
Embiid
time.
was kind of on and off. I mean, Jabari Parker was on Duke that year, and it was like you just don't pick the team that has a star because they somehow just don't go deep.
Yeah. And same thing when Zion, Reddish, and RJ Barrett, they lost to Michigan State.
Yeah, they should have lost the round before too, but the guy like missed a layup.
UCF.
They had Taco.
Yeah.
That game was crazy.
Yeah, it was. I just can't get into college sports really because I'm a players person.
Yeah.
Where like I like to follow players, except for the NFL. I love the Falcons, but I need to know who like every single person is. That's just how I am.
True.
So, like, when there's one and dones every single year, the team changes every year.
Yeah.
There's so much turnover that I'm like, okay, I can't really get into this.
I kind of wish it was 2 years. Like college football is 2 years, right?
3 years.
3 years, yeah. Like college basketball should honestly be 2 years. It's a good amount because there are some guys that are going to be one and done, and they get to the NBA and they never make anything of themselves, and then they're screwed. If you at least have that 2 years in the program, you're going to learn a bit. I mean, if you're RJ Barrett, you're not paying attention. Like, let's be real. But if you're like going bottom half the first round.
Yeah, I mean, if it depends on your talent level. If you're Zion, then do a one and done.
Exactly.
You'd be foolish to go back.
For sure.
Even though he wanted to.
Yeah,
But,
which is crazy to me.
Coach K kind of
Like
him. The coach convinced him to go to the NBA.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like guys like Tim Duncan or Michael Jordan, like they stayed extra years. I think back then they had to.
Jordan stayed 2 years.
Jordan stayed 2 years with UNC. Duncan, I think, finished because he promised his mom,
Something like
who had
that.
like cancer at the time. But like, imagine they played 2 more years in the NBA. Like, I wonder what they could have gotten done.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And then you have guys like LeBron. That
Didn't even have to go.
Yeah, and we'll talk about LeBron later. I
Yeah.
have some thoughts about what we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the responses we got.
Speaking of that, we went to our Instagram and we asked our viewers who are the most underrated players in sports and who are the most overrated players in sports. Do you want to start with overrated or underrated?
Let's do underrated.
Underrated?
Yeah.
So for underrated, the first answer was SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
100% underrated.
100% underrated.
Like, the fact that the Thunder is even like a possibility to be in the playoffs right now is crazy.
And you look at his splits, he's averaging 24 almost with 6 assists, 50, 40, 80.
Yeah.
I know this because I was actually having a debate yesterday about Shai versus Jaylen Brown. And I was making the argument that Shai could be better than Jaylen Brown.
I think
Jaylen Brown's the bigger name, obviously.
Yeah.
But Shai, they're averaging the same amount of points. He's averaging more assists. He shoots a better percentage from 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Then you could say, like, oh, well, he's the best player on the team. But he takes less shots than Jaylen Brown, too.
Jaylen Brown is a better defender, but I feel like if you put Shai in that situation over Jaylen, like, he would be the facilitator on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kemba Walker's been in and out, and he's been quite inconsistent. Shai would be an amazing piece for that team.
And Shai's 6'6", too.
Yeah.
Like,
the kid is nice.
he's very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think the Clippers are regretting trade.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They gave up way too much.
For Paul George. But, I mean, at the end of the day, Kawhi wasn't going to sign.
Yeah,
They didn't
exactly.
get Paul George, so you can't really fault them. The next one, Bryce Harper.
Underrated?
Yeah,
I think he's overrated.
same. I love Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
I love the funness that he brings to baseball. Do you see his cleats on opening day?
Yeah, they were sick.
Yeah, I love what he brings to baseball, but like,
He's got a great personality, but he's like one of the most inconsistent players in baseball.
Definitely.
And he hasn't hit above 300. I don't think he's hit above 290 since 2017.
yeah, ever since MVP.
Yeah, if you're a superstar in the league, you can't be hitting that bad that many years in a row.
Exactly.
And I've noticed like he'll have like a really good year where he'll hit 40 home runs, get over 100 RBIs, and then he'll just kind of crap the bed the very next year.
I find that with a lot of baseball players, though.
Yeah. Baseball's like the most streaky sport, like 100%. Like I remember when I played, like there'd be a week straight where I could not hit the ball. Like I'd strike out every at bat, or you'd pop up, and then there's just a week where you're feeling nice, you're hitting a double, single every at bat.
Exactly.
It's so streaky. Even pitching, like there are games where you can't stop throwing strikes, and another game where you're walking everybody.
Yeah.
It's weird, but Bryce is not underrated because he just, like even in that draft class, like he went first the year Mike Trout. I think he went like 29th, and people were saying, yeah, Bryce is way better. And off the gate, Mike Trout was just like, nah, like I am the MLB.
Yeah. But Bryce Harper is kind of like, he was kind of like the LeBron James of baseball, kind of.
Yeah.
The way he was hyped up.
For sure. And yeah, like same with Sidney Crosby. Like they had wicked expectations. And don't get me wrong, like he is overrated. He's still a phenomenal baseball player.
Definitely.
He's just not. I wouldn't put him top 5. I
wouldn't.
I might not even put him top 10 in the league.
No.
You know what? I wouldn't.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
As a quarterback, he's severely overrated.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But like as a utility guy.
Yeah, he's underrated.
Underrated.
I wouldn't even say he's underrated. He's like...
He's perfectly rated for that position because when you watch a Saints game and he goes at tight end, like he's the person they're talking about. He's the one they're highlighting. Yeah.
You know he's a threat.
Like I can't think of a team that wouldn't want him on their team as just a guy to run the ball, throw the ball, to be able to throw the ball. Like I think of him in the Brown system and how they do trick plays. Like if they had Taysom Hill, oh my God.
Like you can obviously throw the ball, but if you're looking at, if I wanted to to be my starting quarterback.
Yeah.
No.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I'd take a lot of guys over him.
Yeah. Jack Campbell.
Underrated? Yes. He's a Leafs.
Is he the goalie?
He's the goalie right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched a little bit of the game against Montreal. We're recording this on a Thursday, so the Wednesday. And he looked good. I only watched like 10 minutes of the game.
He's played 10 games this year. He's 10-0. He's broken the record for the record at the beginning of the season. He's got one of the best goals against averages in the league. Obviously, he's played a minimum games, but immediately the impact he has brought to that team is crazy. When Anderson is in goal, you can tell there's a bit of a fear there.
Yeah.
With if we cough the puck up, it's going in the back of our net. With Campbell in net, there's a bit of ease. They're more aggressive because they know, hey, if we cough it up, I think he's going to have our back.
Yeah.
We can be a more offensive team, and that's what you see with him. He's absolutely under. And when Anderson's back from the lower body injury, he better be the backup goalie. It's the same situation Pittsburgh had. Like Fleury was a tremendous goalie, but then he started to struggle, and Matt Murray came up. Boom, they won a cup with Matt Murray. And then as soon as Matt Murray fell off, they went back to Fleury. You could do the same thing here. And I think if you put Anderson as a backup, it's gonna add fuel to the fire. So when he gets back in the game, he's gonna be playing his heart out.
Yeah. I mean, I've only watched like a little bit of him, but he looked good yesterday.
Yeah.
In the time that I watched. Drew Holiday.
Underrated, yeah.
But the contract he just got.
Oh, way too much. Way too much.
Yeah.
Like you're already paying Middleton a ridiculous amount.
And you have Giannis.
Yeah. Who deserves a supermax, but like now you're paying three players who
over $40 million.
Yeah, that's absurd. I mean, Drew Holiday is top 10 defender in the league, I think. Perimeter defense, top 5. He's a good shooter, really great facilitator. Like when he was on the Pelicans, he was a tremendous facilitator.
Yeah, he's great. I love watching him play. He's really, really good. But $40 million for him.
That's too much.
I don't know about that. I would say he is underrated as a player.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart.
Underrated, absolutely. In terms of defense, people talk about
like he's perfectly rated defensively.
Defensively, I even think he's underrated because I think he's just so good defensively.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Like you watching that Raptor series, they could not. They couldn't drive. They were just shooting from three because they couldn't get by Smart. They couldn't get by Brown. But like Smart is the top guy defensively.
And you really saw when he got it when he went out for Boston.
Yeah,
their defense took a step back, and the team as a whole took a step back.
Yeah.
They're only like the 8th seed now.
Yeah, they've kind of fell off, but I think they'll pull it together later on the season. I think they'll be a threat in the playoffs.
Definitely.
But Marcus Smart
they're
too.
a team that you don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly. They're like the Heat when they were the 5th seed. Like Indiana's like, oh my god, no, they got swept. But Smart too, like very streaky. Like when he's shooting the 3 ball and he's knocking it down, like he's lethal.
Yeah.
But if he's not shooting that well, he's unnoticeable.
Like Tony Allen.
Yeah, he's not noticeable on offense if he's not hitting the 3 ball.
Yeah. Mike Conley. This is all from the same person. Got a lot of underrated players.
Mike Conley, yeah. I think for a while he's been perfectly rated. When he was on Memphis, I think he was perfectly rated. Like he was on that grit and grind team. He's a good facilitator, great teammate, great leader. As soon as he went to Utah, he didn't have as great of a season, and people kind of put it on him like, oh, you aren't this star. It's like he wasn't necessarily ever really a star. He was kind of like a really good... He was like Kyle Lowry for a little while, and then he kind of went into stardom.
Yeah.
For a bit.
I don't get the people who say he should have been an all-star. Well, the West is always packed with guards.
Very competitive.
Very packed with guards. So who is he going to make it over? Steph?
Exactly.
Westbrook when he was in the West? Who else? Harden when he was in the West?
Yeah. Like
who is he going to make it over?
Even this year, I don't think he deserved it.
No,
I think there was I think I would take De'Aaron Fox over him. There's a couple more guys too. But yeah, he's underrated because he's pulled it together now and he's been really great for their team.
Oh, yeah.
I'm worried about Utah though. Like if they're not hitting, like in the playoffs, their shooting is going to be exploited. And if they can't hit the 3 ball, I'm not so sure they're going to be able to dominate teams.
I think I've said it on the show before. 2016 Hawks reincarnated.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben Simmons, I agree.
Underrated. I think he's underrated simply because people put the shooting, not being able to shoot too much on him, and it makes him seem like a worse player. But he's still, his other abilities skyrocket that kind of out of the way.
This may be biased. I love Ben Simmons. I've loved Ben Simmons ever since he got into the league. But he doesn't shoot. But everything else he does it at an elite level. Whether it's defending, playmaking, rebounding, and scoring inside.
Like he can defend 1 through 5, and the fact that he can play 1 through 5, like maybe not center, but he could play power forward, no problem. You put him in that position, he'd flourish. He's a great 6'10". Interior scorer. Yeah, he's 6'10". He's a phenomenal passer. We already know he's a great defender, and he may not be able to good shooter, but he can knock down shots like in close. He figures out a way. He can create his own shot, no problem.
Oh yeah, and I think because he doesn't shoot, and the game and the NBA today is so focused on shooting, that kind of like decreases his value. And I understand that he needs to shoot more. He needs to learn how to shoot, even if it's like a 15-footer.
Yeah.
Just learn,
Just pick up some sort of or like teardrop.
become some sort of shooting threat. But if you just look at his skill set, he is underrated.
Yeah. I also think too, like people they put it on him because like he hasn't found success. Like him and Embiid have never really been healthy at the same time when they need to be.
Yeah.
So I think haven't really had that true opportunity to show what they can do.
The year they had the best shot, Embiid was injured in the Toronto series.
Yeah. He was out a couple games. So it's like
Devin Booker, 100% agree.
Underrated? I think he's kind of where he should be.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a great mid-range scorer. He's a great scorer, but kind of like I think Zach LaVine was another person that was brought up on the list. When they are the number one option on their team, you look at them like, wow, they could be a superstar. But I think you put them in another scheme, they're even better.
Yeah.
As like a second option. Like imagine Booker playing with Giannis. Like that would be crazy. But I don't think people think Booker can be a superstar. I don't think he can be a superstar. I see him more of a not necessarily a second option, but like a 1A, 1B kind of thing, like with Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we were saying this when there was rumors of Beal getting traded. Like playing with Giannis would be like a match made in heaven.
Exactly.
I feel like Booker's the same way. But I feel like Booker has a great team now where he has someone like Chris Paul who can set him up.
Exactly. That's why I think like he just needed a system where he had people to help him and then they could be a really successful team. But on his own, I don't think he's that upper echelon of the league. And that's why I can't say he's
I think when you look at him as a scorer, he's right up there with anybody in the league.
For sure.
He's so talented.
He's
when you watch
lethal.
him. He's so smooth. I've seen a comparison. He's like prime Brandon Roy. If Brandon Roy didn't get injured, he'd be Devin Booker.
Yeah, that team would have been so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Like Booker and Levine, like Levine too, like solid defender. He can shoot, he can rebound, he could pass, he could dunk, like no problem. Like the fact that he can be in a dunk contest and a 3-point contest shows like the range of his game.
I think Levine, a lot of people still have in their head that he's like a dunker.
Yeah, he's not.
He's a lot more than that.
He's so much more, and that's why he's underrated. But at the same time, like Booker, bringing in Vucevic, I think their team's gonna be much better. Yeah. But on his own, he can't get it done.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Jello.
But dude, I feel so bad for him.
I do.
Obviously,
he messed up.
He made a mistake robbing the store, which I never understood why. Like he was already rich. What was the point? I don't know if he was peer pressured or anything into doing it. But
I think he was because there was another guy.
Yeah. But to see his brother, his Lonzo go 2, LaMelo go 3, and them both beat. Now like Lonzo's picked it up, and LaMelo was great this year. Too bad that he had a broken wrist, but
just that. Like in Ball in the Family, when they're watching the draft. And the last pick goes, and he's like, that's game.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him.
Because it was like the 59th pick, and he's like, yeah, the Suns were the only team I talked to out of here. And then as soon as they didn't pick him, you could just see it in his face.
Like Mike Jones or something.
It's like, honestly, I'd give him a shot. Yeah. Just the fact that he's a brother of the two guys that great defenders. Well, Lonzo's a great defender. LaMelo is like he's so exciting to watch. Just give LiAngelo a shot. Because even like the G League teams will sign him, but they don't really play him that much. Like it's kind of like Bull. Like every time I've seen him on the court, he's been pretty good. Why not just give him 20 minutes in a game, see what he can really do? Yeah.
Next one, Derek Lewis. He's a UFC fighter, heavyweight fighter. Don't know much about him.
Yeah,
honest.
I'm not huge on UFC. Like I'll watch the big fights, so I don't really know.
I'm the same way. I'm very casual, but I do know that Derek Lewis. I think he has the most knockouts.
Yeah, I know he's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, I think I saw a graphic. I was watching the Miocic and what's his name, and Ngannou, Francis Ngannou, when he won the world heavyweight title. I saw a graphic. I think he has 12 knockouts, and I think Ngannou has 10. Ooh. So that really tells like how good he really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the UFC. Like I just know like the big names. Like, what would be a dream match you'd want to see or a dream fight?
Well, it's gonna happen. I think John Jones and Ngannou. Because John Jones is going up to head.
Yeah. Apparently, like Ngannou's story is like crazy. Like I've been told to like watch a documentary on him.
Yeah, his punch. Like I looked it up. It's like his punch speed is the same like speed per whatever of like a family car. So getting hit by him is like actually getting hit by a car.
That's nuts. That's like when they talked about Zion, like getting hit by him, like taking a charge would be like getting hit by like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. I remember in grade 8, playing basketball, and there's one kid on the other team who was like big, like he was like 6'2", like a big guy, and he was running down the court, and I remember the coach was yelling, "Take the charge!" And I was like, "You thought I am not laying my life on the line?"
I am 12. I am 13 years old.
Yeah.
I have a whole life to live.
Like,
I'm good.
I'm getting. First of all, we're already winning by like 15. I don't care at this point. It's not a lot of time left. I'm not taking a hit like that.
Last one we're gonna look at for underrated. Jokic and Dame. I agree.
Yeah, just like Jokic has been the best offensive player in basketball this season, I think.
Yeah.
And Dame is just so dangerous. Like his heat checks are insane.
Those two are the top 2 MVP candidates for me right now.
Yeah,
and they're not really talked about.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to be a top 4 seed or a top 3 seed to be in the conversation." But it's like there's so much competition this year, and there are teams that are way more powerful than others. That when you see an individual play the way they are with a team that's kind of struggling but still be in the running for a top 4 seed, you got to give it to them. And like tip your cap to both of them. They've been incredible this year.
Yeah. I feel like for the MVP race, we're talking about a lot about, LeBron got hurt, Harden got hurt, Embiid got hurt, but we're not talking about who hasn't got hurt,
exactly.
which is Jokic and Dame. And I feel like those are the two that it's going to come down to. Me personally, I think it's a toss-up right now.
Yeah.
I think depending on seeding is who it'll go to. But yeah, I think both of them are very underrated.
I personally think Dame is like the most exciting player in basketball right now. Like I know Stephen A. Smith talked a lot about how Kyrie. First of all, he said he should retire, and then he said he's in the MVP running. I don't think you can be in the MVP running if you're on Brooklyn. Like you have 3 superstars, and obviously they've been in and out in the lineup. But like,
how are you gonna say Kyrie's the most valuable player when the other guy is setting him up? And he's ahead of him.
Yeah, he's putting up a 40-point triple-double. Like, I'm sorry, no. But, like Kyrie is extremely exciting to watch. But, like, Damian Lillard, man, like, when he gets hot, he's undeniably possibly the best player in basketball. When he can hit that deep shot.
In the clutch, he's the best player.
He. If there's anybody I want the ball in their hand last second, it's Damian Lillard.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Moving on to overrated athletes. The first one, I'm about to go off on it, so I'll let you talk about it first. LeBron James.
No. Just no. If anything, he's underrated. And look at it like this. The expectations that were put on him when he first entered the league were higher than anybody ever. He was expected to be better than Jordan. And you know what? The fact that it's debatable that he's with Jordan alone lets me know that he's underrated. Like, dude, do your thing. You're probably going to rant. Like,
so... LeBron James has been playing in the NBA for 18 years. Now, before I start, I'm not saying he's the GOAT. He's my GOAT. But if he's not your GOAT, I don't. It's your opinion. I don't really care. Like, if you think Jordan's the GOAT, that's you. If you think Kobe's the GOAT, that's you. He's been in the league for 18 years. In those 18 years, he has carried 4 franchises to a total of 10 finals appearances and 4 finals wins. Okay? You're focused on the 6 losses, sorry. Without context, but whatever. But if you look at those teams, when he left those teams, Cleveland, he was there for 7 years, from 2003 to 2010. 2011 to 2014, where were they?
Bottom.
Lottery. And now in those 4 years, he took Miami to the finals. Yes, he had Wade and Bosh, but he was the best player. Come on. He leaves Miami, goes back to Cleveland. Miami didn't even sniff a title for the next 4 years. Why is that? Because he was going to 4 straight finals in Cleveland. And the last finals was without the key piece, and watch why he went back to Cleveland, which was Kyrie Irving. Goes to LA, the first year was injured.
I mean, they were doing well before he got hurt.
3rd seed in the West before he got injured on Christmas Day. And the rest of the season, it was just injury riddled.
Yeah.
Whether it was him, Lonzo, B.I., whoever it was.
That just shows how good he is because the roster went to crap as soon as he left.
Yeah. And if you watch him now, without LeBron James, they just look lost.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Next year, they get Anthony Davis. They win a title. And for those who say, well, he needed Anthony Davis, Michael Jordan needed Scottie Pippen.
Exactly. Everybody ever kind of needed someone else.
Magic needed Kareem. Shaq needed Kobe. Kobe needed Shaq. The list goes on. To say he's overrated, it's just false. And if you think he's overrated, just say you don't like him.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about it. And if you want to keep talking about it, my DMs are open.
It's so true. Like, honestly, I think it's a little ignorant to say he's overrated.
It is. And like what you said, like the expectations.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, if he wasn't a Hall of Famer, he was going to be considered a bust.
He didn't win a title. He doesn't win an MVP. They say he's the biggest bust ever.
Yeah.
And even that would be ridiculous. Like, if he's an all-star, he's not necessarily
And I go back
a
to
bust.
one game, Game 6, Boston, 2012. The amount of pressure that was on him in that game.
No one's ever felt that pressure before.
They lost to Dallas the year before, which was the worst moment of his career.
Yeah.
They're down 3-2. They're down 3-2 to the team that he went to Miami for, which was Boston. That's
Yeah.
the reason he went to Miami, because he needed to beat Boston with the big three Celtics, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Down 3-2 to them in Boston.
Yeah.
All the pressure's on him. He goes for 45, 15, and 5. Single-handedly beats the Celtics.
Yeah. Like, the guy's unreal. And he has the greatest championship win ever, I'd say.
3-1 down. I didn't even think about that.
2016 3-1 down
Talk
to
about it.
debatably the greatest team ever, and he wins it. I'd say that's the greatest championship ever. I think the great championship run is the Mavericks when they won in 2011. Obviously,
Yeah.
that kind of hurts this case a little bit, but at the same time, like, even
But if
then,
you look at who they beat, they swept the Lakers, who just went back-to-back with Kobe and Pau Gasol, and then they beat the Thunder, who went to the finals
the
the
next year, yeah.
I think, did they beat the Spurs?
I think it was the Spurs.
I don't know if they beat the Spurs. Was it the Grizzlies? I don't know.
It was either
But-
the Spurs or the Grizzlies.
But yeah, that finals run for Dirk especially,
Yeah.
that's maybe one of the greatest finals runs ever. But when we're talking about LeBron, he's just done everything. So
Yeah.
to call him overrated, it's just not true.
There's like this stigma with top players in their sport, like Tom Brady, LeBron James,
Brady.
Sidney Crosby. Like, obviously Connor McDavid's like the guy now, but when he was the guy, people were saying terrible things about him, like, oh, he's a whiner. It's like, that doesn't take away from the fact that he's the best player in the league,
Right.
and he's done everything you've expected from him. How can you say he's overrated?
Exactly. LeBron has he's third in points scored now. He's gonna
be out there in assists.
he's the only player in NBA history to have 30,000 points, 8,000 assists, 8,000 rebounds.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's up to 9. I don't know, but he's gonna retire maybe at 40,000, 10,000, 10,000.
And you can't even say, like, oh, he played longer. He played longer as the best player in the league.
And that's a sustained level of success.
Exactly.
A sustained level of greatness.
From the moment he walked in the league, the moment he was playing the Kings that one game, you knew, like, this guy is
He
unbelievable.
came into the league at 18. When Kevin Garnett came in at 18, he came in at 18. It took him a couple years.
Yeah, they gave him time.
Kobe, it took him like 2 years to become a legit star. LeBron stepped into the NBA and it was already.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, Michael Jordan, like, he was up there in points per game. He at least had 3 years at University of
2
of
years.
North Carolina, where he won a national
And
championship.
it took him 6 years to get to the finals. LeBron went to the finals at 22 years old.
Exactly.
At 22 years old, Jordan was in college.
And you can't say, like, oh, he lost 6 times. He was on his own the first one, and a couple other times down with the Cavaliers. Like, he was the underdog in that game.
2018.
Yeah. You can't blame him for being the underdog.
Yeah.
Like, if you're playing a stacked roster, I'm sorry, if Michael Jordan goes to the finals against Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, and then you add, like, I don't even know, like Clyde Drexler or someone to that team,
Yeah.
like, they're unstoppable.
Exactly. And if you look at 2014-15, when Kyrie gets hurt, Kevin Love gets hurt, people say that's an excuse. That's not an excuse. That's just what happened.
Yeah.
So do you expect him to beat the MVP, one of the greatest shooters you've ever seen of all time, and at the time, in his prime, one of the greatest defenders of this generation? I'm not going to say all time because he's not.
Like, if he goes to the final this
Talking
year,
about Draymond.
yeah, if he goes to the final this year and they play Brooklyn, and if Durant, Harden, and Kyrie all come to play and they play phenomenal basketball, I think they take it. But if they do, you can't even hold that against LeBron, because it's like, look at who I'm playing.
This year, I will say it's more even than a lot of people.
Yeah,
think.
because, like, let's not act like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin are all-stars still. They're not. If anything, Blake
LeBron
Griffin
has AD, he has Drummond. So I think it's an even playing field for him
yeah,
this year.
like, I value Joe Harris above Blake Griffin.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe even Aldridge. Like, we'll see what he can really do with the team, but at the same time, like, it's not like they really added huge pieces. They just added names.
Exactly. And if you look at, I think the Lakers will take it, but it's a lot more even than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are saying the only team that can beat the Nets are the Nets. I don't believe that.
Yeah. It's like, I make this comparison to hockey. Like, when Rick Nash went to the Bruins in the before the playoffs, everyone was like, oh my God, the Bruins are winning. Rick Nash is not Rick Nash anymore. When Joe McGinley went to Pittsburgh, they're like, oh my God, Joe McGinley. He's like 36 years old. He's not making a huge impact. Or like Chara going to Washington now. Oh, they got Chara. He's like 39 years old. Like, come on.
Where is Chara now?
He's on the Capitals. Yeah, he signed with them.
Yeah, that got me fired up. So I think it's time to move on. Bryce Harper, we talked about him earlier.
Yeah.
He was an underrated, and somebody put him in overrated. We think he's overrated, though I do love Bryce Harper. Anthony Joshua, heavyweight boxer.
He's supposed to fight Tyson Fury, right?
Yeah, soon. I think they signed a 2-fight deal.
2-fight deal.
So they're gonna fight twice.
What if someone just gets like knocked out right away? Then is that second fight pointless, or is it now like a redemption?
I don't even know.
I guess like the storyline.
My
alone.
thing is just what I know about Joshua and what I've been told by people is like he runs from people. Like in the past,
really?
he's been running from Fury and Wilder.
Jake Paul. I'm so.
We're gonna move right past that one. Who is he fighting?
Oh my gosh, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name, but I hope he knocks him out, man. I hope Jake Paul gets put on the ground. Like, I watched their press conference. He literally acted like a child. Like he was like, and he was like making little points.
Yeah.
It's like, man, grow up. Stop acting like you're this beast. You haven't fought anyone legitimate yet.
Fought Nate Robinson.
Yeah. If you knock him out, if you win this fight, you have credibility. You can go out there and make real fights. But until you win this fight, I don't want to hear anything
Isn't
from you.
Logan Paul supposed to fight Mayweather?
Yeah, he's gonna lose. Like it's not.
Yeah,
even,
well, that's obvious. I think he even admitted it. Like,
oh yeah, like,
I'm losing this fight.
but if he wins, like that makes his career. He's the first person to beat Mayweather. He is a legitimate contender now to call himself a great fighter. And you can't like if he beats Floyd Mayweather, what are you gonna say? Can't say anything to him.
Yeah, he won't. But
He won't. But yeah, it'd be cool to see. I'm excited.
Yeah. Next one, Lamar Jackson.
You know what? I'm going to agree. I think Lamar Jackson is overrated. I think he has all the tools and all the potential in the world to be criminally underrated because of, all the racial stacking that went on before he was even drafted. And then even now people say like, oh, he can't, like even I'll say like he can't throw the ball down the field as well as he should be able to. So with the people say, oh, he's, Super Bowl contender. I don't think you can make the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson as your quarterback right now. That's why I think he's overrated. But down the line, if he can figure it out, absolutely.
I'm going to disagree with you because I feel like he's rated in a way that I think people know that and people have said that.
That's true.
So I'm going to say he's not overrated, but he's not underrated either. He's like in the middle. He's perfectly rated.
Yeah. The people like that. That's a good case.
He's a great talent, but people understand that he's great at throwing in the middle of the field, and teams know that, so they take it away, which takes away what he's good at. So he can either run, which teams have started to like figure out how to take that away. Mm-hmm. So now he's kind of in a box.
Yeah,
so he has to improve his throwing down the field, which I hope he does, because if he does, then it's over.
Yeah, even one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. But if you have to choose one or the other, I'm going overrated. But like you said, like he's kind of perfectly rated. And the other people I'm thinking about, like Westbrook, Paul George, James Harden, those are they're the definitive perfectly rated people because they are guys that can pop off and go like, wow, these are the best players we've ever seen. They're superstars. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they can have a brick parade and you'd be like, wow, they're one of the worst players I've seen tonight. And they're overrated as hell. It's kind of weird how you can go back and forth.
Yeah. Next one, Paul Pierce. Side note, he said, not because of the scandal, but I thought this a long time before. I agree. I'm not.
Yeah, I think he's overrated. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest players we've seen. Yeah. But he's overrated. He doesn't even average 20 points per game for his career, and he's a primary scorer.
That's Washington.
Washington and Brooklyn kind of fell off, but
and
even
Clippers.
Yeah, like what even was that? But like he was like there was a point in his time in like the middle of his career where he was putting up like 18, 19 for a season when he should be realistically
his career high I think is 25.
Yeah, and it's understandable for his points to drop off when Garnett and Allen all came in. But even then, you're the primary guy. You were the Finals MVP. Like you should at least get. I just
feel like he gets too much credit for winning the title.
Yeah,
when before Garnett and Allen. Now he needed Garnett and Allen the same way that I talked about earlier. Like LeBron needs AD.
Yeah,
and Jordan needs Pippen. Everybody needs somebody, but I feel like he gets too much credit for that title when I feel like the driving force of that whole team was Kevin Garnett.
For sure. And Rondo was really underrated at that time, too.
He was the facilitator.
Yeah, he was so young, too.
Yeah.
Bro, that was the start of the super team. as
Super
much
teams
as
have been going on since
they've been going on forever, but at that point in time, that kick-started it, and that's what made the Heat have to happen. Not happen.
Yeah.
It didn't have to happen.
that's what caused, because they made the big three Celtics
Exactly.
to beat LeBron.
To beat LeBron. And then now he's going, okay, I can't beat you guys. I got to go do something. And I hated LeBron for going to Miami. I would have rather him go to like, maybe even Chicago. I feel like Chicago would have been better just because of young D Rose.
Because they were going to.
Yeah, that was like the plan,
That was
right?
the plan. The plan was for him and Wade to go to Chicago.
That would have been way worse than... No, that would have been way better for them, but way worse for the league because they would have just bullied
And
everybody.
There was also a rumor that he was going to go to the Knicks, which he was going to, but then he met with James Dolan and
Yeah. Dude,
We
one
know
of the
James
worst
Dolan.
things for Carmelo Anthony was getting traded to the Knicks. But then he re-signed. Like,
nah, he could have just waited half a season. He could have just signed there, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to give up everything they had to give up
Yeah.
for him, and they would have been a lot.
they
better.
literally lost all the pieces they had. And by the time he was there, like, Stoudemire was kind of a shell of himself. Like, it wasn't...
Stoudemire was still really good.
He was good, but
was still really good.
Yeah, like, he wasn't what he needed to win.
But yeah. Next one, Alex Ovechkin. First of
No.
all, Dubinsky, what's his name?
Oh yeah, Brandon Dubinsky is a clown. You are a loser, dude. I think you are delusional. If obviously you're not watching, but if you were, I want you to see this. What is wrong with you to say that? First of all, to say that Sidney Crosby is below Alexander Ovechkin is ridiculous. That is the same thing as saying Stephen Curry is better than LeBron James. He's just not. Steph Curry is phenomenal. Alex Ovechkin is possibly the greatest goal scorer we've ever seen. But LeBron James is the best player in basketball, and Sidney Crosby was the best player in hockey for years. People say, oh, you know, Crosby won 3 cups. He had better teams. I don't think he did have better teams. I think he just came to play when it mattered most and got the job done. Washington was the number 1 seed for like 4 or 5 different years.
Yeah.
And were expected to beat Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh came out on top.
Yeah.
That is him. That is Crosby being the better player. And Crosby's played 164 less games than Ovechkin. He's played 2 full seasons less than Ovechkin. He has 6 less points. That's all that needs to be said. Like,
It's like Ovechkin, I'm sure, is more fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, if we go to basketball, Kevin Durant at times is more fun to watch than LeBron James.
yeah, for
is.
sure. Like when he gets hot, like he's the most smooth player in basketball.
Exactly. But when you watch LeBron, it's not necessarily like how funny he is to watch. It's the mental.
Yeah, Crosby and LeBron, the way they play the game is so fascinating. Like they are. Sidney Crosby is 3 steps ahead of everybody else on the
Exactly.
ice.
He can see things before they happen.
Yeah, and at the same time, like obviously Nicholas Backstrom's career was raised because he had Ovechkin as his line mate, but he was one of the most gifted passers in the league. You put a great goal scorer with Crosby. Oh my God, like he's running the league.
Right.
So, but Ovechkin is not overrated. I think he's the greatest goal scorer we've ever seen in the game. I think Gretzky's second, because I think you put Ovechkin in that time, he is going bar down on everybody. Like he's insane.
The next one's like super random. Mikal Bridges.
I mean, I think he's perfectly rated in the sense that you don't hear much about him.
Yeah, he's not. Who's talking about Mikal Bridges?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna call him out Couve. Like what?
that was a reach.
Like
he's a good player.
yeah.
I think
he's a 3-and-D player. He's like a perfect player for
Yeah.
today's NBA.
He's a good role player. I think he'll expand his game as he goes later down the line and he gets more of an opportunity. But I don't know. I don't know if I can really comment on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Next one, Nylander.
Nylander. I think Nylander is overrated. Barely. Because I think a lot of people like to put him in terms of Tavares, Matthews, and Marner when he's just not there. I don't think he's at that top level.
I think it's his contract.
Yeah, his contract didn't help him, and now he's kind of like the first year of that contract. He looked ridiculous. Like he was horrible that season. He scored like 9 goals, I think.
He did hold out too. Though,
Yeah, he held out, which I think most of that was his agent was in his ear, just saying like, yeah, you deserve more, and then he's going, okay, yeah, I should.
Okay.
Which really screwed the Leafs over because then everybody else wanted more. But he is a phenomenal player. His backhand shot is crazy. He brings way more energy than everyone thinks. People think he's kind of a lazy player. He's not. A lot of games, there's like the Leafs are not doing anything, and Nylander's the one guy you notice out there making plays happen. So I think he's a bit overrated because people put him in that upper echelon with Matthews and Marner. But soon we'll find out. Like he'll be a perennial 30-goal scorer in the league, possibly even 40. And then I think he'll come into his own in the league, and that contract will make more sense later down the line.
So he's like supremely talented.
Yeah,
he hasn't reached his potential yet.
He was the MVP of the World Championship tournament when, like in the playoffs, like when whoever's not playing goes to the tournament, and he was like the MVP for Sweden.
Right.
And there was
wow.
I think like Ovechkin was in that tournament. Like there were some good players.
So what would you say? He's like the MPJ, Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, like as soon as he gets his true opportunity, like he's gonna be
So
crazy
just
good.
like crazy talented.
Yeah. And listen, Nylander's really good, and he's going to be super helpful for them in the playoffs. But at the same time, I can see them trading him for a defenseman, and which I'd be okay with if it's a high-value defenseman.
Mm-hmm. So that was the last one. But quickly to end off the show, we're just going to say our most underrated and overrated athletes. So we'll start with you. Underrated, overrated. Who are your...
My most underrated, I was thinking initially Deontay Johnson on the Steelers because I think he's overshadowed by Juju and Claypool so much that people forget how talented he is. And you can even talk about Washington as well. They have a really good receiving core. Mm-hmm. But the one that just came to mind, Evgeny Malkin. And he's a superstar in the NHL, which is why this is kind of crazy to talk about. But he's one of the most underrated athletes I've ever heard of. The NHL did a top 100 list of the top 100 players that have ever played in the game, and he was not included on that list. He's won 3 Stanley Cups. He's won, I think 2 MVPs, 2 Art Rosses. He was a playoff MVP in 2009. He is the Kobe Bryant to Sidney Crosby's Shaq. And how can you not say he's top 100? You had Duncan Keith in there, Patrick Kane.
Duncan Keith?
Yeah, Duncan Keith, he was in there. I can't remember if Jonathan Toews was or not, but if Toews was there over Malkin, that's criminal. Like, whoever made that list should be fired because Jonathan Toews does not bring what Evgeny Malkin brings. Like, Jonathan Toews is a great leader, don't get me wrong, but he's never been at the top of the league in his stature or anything. Malkin's been there every year for the most part.
Yeah. And if you look at Toews, he's kind of like when Malkin is to Crosby. He's to Patrick Kane.
He's a secondary guy.
To Patrick Kane, right? So for my underrated, I'm going to the NFL. Jair Alexander, cornerback for the Packers. I just feel like people know he's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think people understand how good
they don't
he
understand
is.
how good he is.
He's, to me, the best corner in the NFL.
Yeah. He's easily in the conversation, and that's what I think a lot of people forget. Like, they'll say Ramsey and Gilmore, but there's you got to think of Alexander
They'll say him, Tre'Davious White, they'll bring up, but they don't bring up Jair Alexander. He locks people down.
Yeah. Look at him in the playoffs. Watch his highlights from this year's playoffs. He was nuts.
He's physical. He's great in man coverage. I don't want to say Revis, but
I mean, hey,
kinda.
He's young. He's got a lot of room to go,
yeah,
and he's
super
going to
young.
improve.
He's like 23, 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best corner in the NFL. And I feel like he'll start getting his recognition next year because that's kind of how it goes. You need a couple good years, but he's been good for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's just a shame that he has Kevin King on the other side.
Yeah, true.
All right, who's your most overrated?
Overrated. I'm going to go with Karl Anthony Towns.
So we're both going with NBA bigs?
Yeah, because, listen, Cat is great. He's a great basketball player, but he can't stay off the IL. And that fact, you can't be a top-tier player in the league, you can't be a superstar in the league if you can't stay healthy. And people, I think you mentioned this too, off camera. A couple of years ago, people were talking about if you were to build a team around one guy, people chose Cat.
Yeah, there was a GM survey. I forget. I think it was 2017 or 18. And the question was, who would you want if you were to pick one player to build your whole team around for the next 5 years or whatever?
Yeah.
And the consensus was Cat.
Yeah. And Bleacher Report, that list they had, where it was they predicted the top 10 or 20 best players 5 years from now, and Cat was top 3.
Yeah.
People expected him to be crazy, and he hasn't been. When he's playing, he's been a good player, but even when he's playing, he's not making a huge impact. The Timberwolves aren't winning games.
Right.
The fact that they've been this bad for this long really does tell you how much of an impact he has.
Right.
Or how little of an impact he's really added.
And then again, he needs help, but then again,
yeah, if you're
they've been in the
Embiid,
lottery
when
every
Embiid's
year.
in a game or Jokic is in a game, they control the game. Cat doesn't do that. He kind of just gets his rebound, puts up some points,
Right.
but doesn't take over.
Yeah. For mine, it was a toss-up between Juju, because I've always thought he was overrated. I thought he's always been a good number 2 receiver, but he was never a number 1 receiver. And I feel like when AB left, or he didn't leave, he got released. Or no, he got traded to the Raiders, right? It feels like so long ago.
I know.
But even since then, people were hyping up Juju to be the next number 1 receiver in Pittsburgh. But
he took a huge step back as soon as Brown was gone.
Yeah.
He didn't have a 100-yard game for I think like,
longest
what was it
time.
like 20 games or something like that?
I
Like,
think
that's
the longest time.
as a number one option on a good team, that can't happen.
Yeah, and he had, I think, 1,500 yards that year. But even because AB was getting all the attention.
Yeah.
So he's getting the number 2 corner, and he's getting single coverage. Of
Yeah.
course he's going to.
On a throw-heavy team as well.
Because he's talented, but he's not a number 1 receiver. But I'm going with Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Because
That makes
he's
sense.
a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. About to be 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. But every time I watch him play, he's getting cooked.
Yeah. Really, like when he tries to go to the perimeter, it's hard to watch. Like, it's like, okay, no.
Especially in today's NBA, like I value versatility on my in defensive ability. So people like Ben Simmons, Giannis, guys who can defend all 5 positions, Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I value those guys over somebody like Gobert, who's very limited in what he
Yeah,
can do.
he's not necessarily one-dimensional, but like when he's in the interior, he's the best in the game. But when he kind of moves out of it, his
Just
impact
for
lessens.
me, like every time he plays a good big, he just because he can't defend him.
Yeah,
Especially modern bigs like AD, Jokic, Embiid. He
Yeah.
can't do anything with
like
them.
when you see those guys go up against them, they'll have solid games. Like Marc Gasol, when he was Defensive Player of the Year, and even when he was in Toronto against Embiid, like he shut down the other team's center, like every time. Like Embiid had 0 points against the Raptors.
Like in the bubble last year, when the Utah played the Lakers in the 8 seeding games, AD went for like 42.
Yeah.
And it was easy
Yeah, He
every
had, like,
single time.
you knew he was hitting the shot. Like there was
Yeah.
nothing he could do about it.
Exactly. And part of that is Anthony Davis being an amazing player.
yeah.
But at the same time, if you're that good, if you're about to be a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year,
Yeah,
you should be able to do a better job.
for sure.
But we had a lot of takes on this episode. We got fired up in this episode,
Yeah.
both of us. Went on little rants, but we're going to wrap it up right there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. We'll see y'all next week. Take it easy.
Stay wild.
Peace.